Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer on Angela Duckworth's absolutely incredible book, Grit. For decades, psychologists have been obsessed with finding the exact secret to high achievement. We hear all about IQ, innate genius, the gifted few. But today, we're dismantling that entire obsession with natural talent. We're going to look at the hard data that proves there's a much, much stronger predictor of success than just getting lucky in the genetic lottery.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at 1. The myth of natural talent. 2. What exactly is grit? 3. The math of achievement. 4. Growing grit from within. And finally, 5. Building a gritty culture. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the myth of natural talent, and why we secretly favor geniuses.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that most of us will publicly swear up and down that we value hard work, right? But the research, well, it actually shows this wild paradox called a talent bias. When we watch a natural do their thing, it just looks effortless. It literally feels like magic, and our gut instinct is to back them. But then you have the striver. Their world is all about mundane, kind of unglamorous daily training. And because of that, strivers get overlooked all the time, even though the data totally proves they're way more likely to succeed in the long run.
And why do we do this? Well, as Angela Duckworth points out, mythologizing natural talent lets us all off the hook. Think about it. If we look at someone performing beautifully and just say, wow, they have this magical, untouchable talent, sure, it's thrilling, but honestly, it means we don't have to feel bad about our own lack of achievement. Blaming our shortcomings on some missing innate talent is just a really convenient excuse. It lets us sit back, relax into the status quo, and it completely prevents us from finding out what we are genuinely capable of.
Moving on to Section 2. What exactly is grit? The true driver of high achievement.
Duckworth actually studied everyone from elite West Point military recruits to high-pressure salespeople, just trying to figure out who survives and who drops out. And guess what? The real predictor wasn't their test scores. No way. It was grit. So what exactly is it? Grit is this powerful combination of passion, meaning really deep, enduring knowledge of what you want, and perseverance, which is the sheer resilience to actually get there. It isn't just some sudden burst of excitement. It's an inner compass that keeps you on track over the long haul.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. Enthusiasm is common. Endurance is rare. Look, it is incredibly easy to get fired up about starting a new business, a new diet, or a new hobby, right? We've all been there. But the true hallmark of a gritty person is that they are still grinding away at that exact same goal years down the line, constantly refining their path until they are exactly where they want to be.
All right, Section 3, the math of achievement, and why effort counts twice.
So the crucial point is, if talent isn't the whole shebang, how exactly does effort factor into all of this? Duckworth came up with this brilliant little formula. In the first equation, you take your innate talent and you multiply it by effort, which equals skill. You literally have to put in the sweat to turn natural talent into a tangible ability. But here's the kicker. In the second equation, you take that shiny new skill and you multiply it by effort again to get actual achievement. Effort is literally a double multiplier.
To put that into perspective, let's look at the number 10,000. That is the insane number of difficult, clunky pots the celebrity potter Warren McKenzie had to painstakingly throw before he truly mastered his craft. He dabbled in a ton of arts, but once he zeroed in on pottery, his initial effort built in necessary skill. And it was only after throwing those 10,000 pots that his effort finally allowed him to effortlessly produce these masterful works and reach real achievement.
Which brings us to Section 4, Growing Grit from Within, the 4 psychological assets. Fascinatingly, the data shows the grittiest adults are actually often in their 70s, while the least gritty are in their 20s. This totally proves that grit grows and matures over time. So, how do we grow it? Well, research points to 4 sequential psychological assets. Number 1, cultivate deep interest. Because passion isn't something you're just born with, you build it. Number 2, deepen that interest through relentless practice. Number 3, develop a sense of purpose. And number 4, nurture hope to help you bounce back from setbacks. Let's zoom in on that second one for a second. Practice.
See, gritty people don't just practice. They do what cognitive psychologist Anders Ericsson calls deliberate practice. Real skill is built by hours and hours of just beating on your craft. This means setting a really specific, stretch goal to target a weakness, giving it 100% of your undivided attention, seeking out immediate and often critical feedback, and then repeating that highly uncomfortable process over and over until it finally becomes second nature.
And this brings up a super fascinating distinction between flow and deliberate practice. We absolutely love watching experts in a state of flow, when they're just thriving, performing effortlessly, and loving every second of it. But here's the reality check. You cannot reach flow without putting in years of deliberate practice first. Deliberate practice is hard, it's exhausting, and it's all about struggling to push past what you can currently do. Basically, deliberate practice is for preparation, and flow is for performance.
Now, to sustain that kind of grueling practice, you need incredibly focused goals. Try this quick exercise. Jot down 25 of your life goals. Got them? Okay, now pick your absolute top 5 priorities. Now for the hardest part, intentionally avoid those other 20 goals like the plague. Seriously, they are your biggest distractions. Finally, align those top 5 remaining goals to a single inner compass. Our time here is limited, and honestly, deciding what not to do is just as crucial as deciding what to do.
As you chase these goals, you're going to hit roadblocks. For sure. And that is exactly where that fourth asset, hope, steps in. Nurturing hope means you have to adopt a growth mindset. See, a fixed mindset believes that your skills and talents just cannot change. That leads straight to pessimism, and you end up giving up when things get tough. But a growth mindset, championed by psychologist Carol Dweck, believes your brain is flexible and grows with use, kind of like a muscle. And that belief, that fuels the optimistic hope you absolutely need to get back up every single time life knocks you down.
Let's move to our final piece, Section 5, Building a Gritty Culture, Developing Grit from the Outside In.
We don't just develop grit all alone in a vacuum. Our environments completely shape us. So if you're trying to nurture grit in the next generation, you need to practice what's called wise parenting. And hey, that doesn't mean being some harsh dictator. Not at all. Wise mentors and teachers are concurrently supportive and demanding. They set incredibly high expectations, but they back them up with unconditional love. Their authority comes from wisdom, not just wielding power.
There's this highly effective and frankly kind of quirky way to implement this at home called the hard thing rule. Here is how it works. Step 1. Everyone in the family chooses a hard thing to do, like an extracurricular activity that demands daily, deliberate practice. Step 2, everyone actually has to do their hard thing. And step 3, there is absolutely zero quitting allowed until a natural stop point like the end of a season or a semester. You cannot just quit because you're having a bad day. Following through on commitments like this literally physically builds the tenacity muscle in kids.
And finally, for us adults looking to fast-track our own grit, we can leverage what's known as the social multiplier effect. Because human traits are so deeply influenced by our nurture and culture, one of the absolute best things you can do is just join a gritty culture. Put yourself in an environment that relentlessly communicates and demonstrates perseverance. Over time, the norms of that group will completely reshape your own self-identity until quitting just isn't even in your vocabulary anymore. Which leaves us with this final, absolutely crucial question to ask yourself today. What is your hard thing gonna be? It's time to step away from the myth of natural talent, align that inner compass, and embrace the mundane, magnificent power of daily effort. Because in the marathon of life, it's not the naturals who cross the finish line first, it's the gritty.